I know you hear it all the time, but it really does help the channel grow. Anyway, thank you for watching, and let's just get into it. This first story is by glad_wedding_4431, and it is titled, Am I the A-hole for not offering an open bar at my wedding? My fiance and my wedding invites have started arriving. Along with the invites is a few things we felt we should outline before the guests arrived at the reception. We have decided to not include an open bar. I come from an alcoholic heavy family and simply don't feel comfortable being around people who are drinking heavily. Instead, my fiance and I have decided to have a drink ticket service instead. With that service, we've been able to customize how we want alcoholic beverages being handled at our reception, and the venue says this kind of service happens all the time there. It was their suggestion, in fact, so I didn't think it would be this big of a deal. With the invitations was a card with the expectations one is to expect from the ceremony and the reception. I didn't want to shock people when they arrived, so I figured the cards would be a nice, classy heads up for our guests. The drink service bit of the card said, essentially, that alcoholic drinks were limited to 2 per guest. The tickets are non-transferable, unlike the other beverages offered. They would need to be ordered from your seat at your assigned table. Drinks were also to be enjoyed at your table. I've been called a lot of rude things after family, both sides, and friends are receiving their cards. My fiance has as well, but a little less so. The most common being Bridezillas. But I did have an uncle reach out to me and say that I'm an a-hole for trying to spoil the fun of a wedding reception. The response has been mostly negative and has been from all sides of family and friends, and now my head is swirling as I try to figure out what to do. So, am I the a-hole because I've set my reception up like this and I'm not offering an open bar instead? Okay, so the general vote on this post is that the OB is an a-hole, which I was quite surprised about personally, because I disagree. I don't think it's so unreasonable to want to have a dry wedding, whether it's because you have a certain background and you don't like being around drunk people, whether it's because you're sober, whether it's because you have family or friends who are sober, or whether it's just because you want a stress-free night where there's guaranteed to be no drunken arguments at least, and no people falling over, getting too drunk, ruining things, causing a load of drama. I don't think that's too unreasonable. Your wedding, your choice, I think that's fine. Especially given the reason behind theirs. They had a family that was very alcohol orientated and probably not very fun to be around when they were drunk. I would definitely also make the same decision. Now, I do think it's a little bit weird that you have to drink your drink at your table. However, I can kind of see why, because unless there's like security or whatever watching them 24/7, it's a case of like, let's say Aunt Sharon is the family drunk, and Dave and Jessica don't drink. So Aunt Sharon asks them to use their tickets and bring her their drinks, or pays them to bring her their drinks. So unless there's someone like proper eagle-eyeing everyone, especially if it's a bigger guest list, there's no way to make sure people aren't doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, so maybe that's why, so I can kind of see it. But I think that's what people are mostly annoyed about in the comments. But I still don't think that's the worst thing. They can walk around with the other drinks, just not with the alcoholic beverages. I think people are a bit too sensitive about that one. Maybe sensitive is the wrong word, but they seem to be very upset about it. I don't think it's that big of a deal personally, but that's just me. That's why these videos for me personally are very fun, because I love exploring everybody's different, perspectives and thoughts on these. I find it really interesting, so yeah. So my vote is not the ale. Right, let's go to the next one. This next one is by King Bugalug, and it's titled, "Am I the ale for refusing to label my wedding cake as vegan because a guest felt tricked?" My husband, 32 male, and I, 30 female, had a vegan wedding because we're both vegan. We made it clear in advance that the food and cake would be plant-based, and no one complained until the reception. The cake was gorgeous, 3 tiers decorated with edible flowers. Toward the end of the night, one of my husband's aunts, Linda, came up to me looking visibly upset. She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display because it felt like I was pushing my lifestyle on everyone. I told her the cake wasn't meant to make a statement, it was just the dessert we chose for our wedding. She insisted I either move the cake off the main table or add a sign saying it was vegan so people weren't tricked into eating it. I refused because 1, it was my wedding, and 2, it's a cake, not propaganda, and 3, no one else seemed to care. Linda ended up storming out, and now my in-laws are saying I should have compromised to avoid drama. I think Linda's reaction was ridiculous, but my husband thinks I could have just put up a sign to keep the peace. Am I the a-hole? No. They're saying that you should have compromised to avoid drama. That is the most ridiculous reason to cause drama, so why could Linda have not compromised and just kept her mouth shut and her opinions to herself? I am not vegan, I'm not vegetarian, I am a big meat eater, I'm a huge animal lover too. But I absolutely hate the stigma around vegans and the whole thing of, oh, vegans push and push and push their lifestyle onto you. Sure, there are some extremists that will, just like there are some extremists in religion or it's their choice, whether it's because of morals, dietary restrictions, allergies, health complications or benefits, whatever the reason, they'll just, they're vegan. And that's the end of it. One of my friends in college was vegan, and that was it. She was vegan. There was no big scheme or trying to get you to convert. She was just vegan, just like vegetarians are vegetarian. It just... why do people make such a big deal out of it? I don't know. It annoys me so much. I don't know why. It shouldn't, but oh my god, let people live. But yeah, it's her wedding. She can do what she wants. The bride and the groom are both vegan, so of course the cake is gonna be vegan. Why would they cater their wedding food to somebody else? They're gonna have what they're gonna eat. It's their wedding. It's meant for them to enjoy. And they also explicitly said on the invitations that everything was gonna be vegan. So they're not trying to trick anybody into eating. But yeah, the aunt in that story just sounds like an absolute crank. And if I were the bride, I would be a bit upset, to be honest, that the groom or my husband wanted to just keep the peace. Like, I personally would kick that person out, whether it was their family or friend, my family or friend, it doesn't matter. Like, I would be like, no, okay, get out. There's no reason to cause drama at my wedding over something so trivial. Like, out. We don't have time for this. I think it's just so insane having the audacity to, like, demand somebody change anything at all of their event to suit you. Like, weird. I don't know. Okay. This next one is by fast_marzipan5276. It is titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting my son to have a more traditional wedding to reflect on his career choice? I had a complicated birth with my youngest son, Matt, and I have always had high expectations for him. Matt is still in law school, but is still insisting on getting married this October. I'm not the biggest fan of his fiancée Amy's ideas for her wedding. She decided she wanted a Halloween marriage, and Amy doesn't care how it looks in front of Matt's peers and professors, and other people in his conservative field once he finishes law school. Amy picked out a black dress and somehow got it in her head that she wants to wear ruby slippers to the wedding since she loved Wicked. I have repeatedly tried to tell Amy to have some respect for Matt's future field, but Amy thinks it's okay because she does marketing and some of her co-workers are coming to this disaster of a wedding. My oldest daughter dropped out of being a bridesmaid before Amy wanted the red in dresses. And my daughter thinks Amy is being tacky, and Matt still won't do anything about the wedding and making it more traditional. I tried to talk to him again after the ruby slippers issue, and he told me maybe if his wedding stresses me out so much I should skip it. I tried explaining that this kind of tackiness can backfire on his career, because when he has wedding pictures up, people are going to notice his bride in a black dress and question his integrity as a lawyer. has told me that I'm going to be uninvited to his wedding if I continue to make a scene, but I'm just trying to help people see him in a better light. The OP for this story is absolutely delusional and sounds exhausting to be around. Like full shade. They sound like a terrible person. Terrible. She is what I personally would call a monster-in-law. I would dread to be married into her family because other than the son, who is to be the groom, they sound like a bunch of absolute cranks. How on earth would her wedding dress make people question his integrity as a lawyer? What on earth does that have to do with anything? Like, that's a crazy thing to say, is it not? That's crazy. I don't know. Like, what? I'm actually kind of gobsmacked with this story. Oh my god, the way I would cut connections with them so fast. I don't know, I think I value my peace and like the people I care about's peace far too much. Like, if this was my family saying this, like about, like, say my fiance's choice of stuff about like our wedding and that, I would cut them out so quick. I know a lot of people might come for me over that, but I think that if you can't have basic respect for people's wants and wishes and personal taste, then you're just a bit of a shit person. Like, it's not hard to have respect. Just because you don't enjoy it, or you don't like it, or you don't think it's like flattering or whatever, doesn't make it inappropriate. It just means it's not your style. But guess what? It's not your wedding. So you shut up, you suck it up, and you attend, and you sit there politely, and you don't make a scene. I don't know, I think it's not that hard to be a decent person. But yeah, that woman sounds exhausting. I could not deal with that. I'm glad that he is sticking up for his bride and basically telling his mom to shove it, otherwise she's gonna be uninvited. Okay guys, this next story is by Radiant_list 9993. Okay. Am I the a-hole for leaving the dry wedding early to go out? There seems to be a few errors in this one, so bear with me while I connect the dots. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I, 35 female, went to a wedding in our college town for a member of our college friend group. My husband and I left the kids with my parents and we went. We got a Fiabo with another couple I went to college with for a few days. I don't know what that is. Is that like a Uber? No, it says for a few days. Is that like a B&B or something like that? Anyway, my husband and I don't have a ton of time to ourselves away from the kids, so we were excited to let loose. On the invitation, it said the wedding went to 11 with an after party with the bride and groom at the venue. The venue was a gorgeous mansion and the bride wedding day and it's a dry wedding. Apparently the groom is 2 years sober. No one told us this and we were admittedly bummed. When we found out there was no alcohol, we told people we were going to some bars after and not going to the after party. We left the wedding at 9:30 because we were itching to go out and the wedding was boring. Pretty much the whole college crew left around that time and went out. Apparently the bride's friend group did not stay for the party. The grooms did, and the optics were very lopsided at the party. We all heard from the bride about this, and she called us a-holes for leaving. She said that she didn't feel supported and felt like we were spiting her now husband for his sobriety. I told her that she was reading too much into it. We just wanted to go out. She is especially mad at me as I'm looked at as the ringleader of this outing. I don't think I've done anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? Yes, you are absolutely the a-hole. And I think the fact that you can't see that makes you a bit ignorant also. At least in my opinion. Of course, my opinion. The fact that you say you were itching to go out, and as soon as you heard there was no drinks, you started making plans to go out to bars instead, go bar hopping. That just shows that from the get-go, you did not attend this wedding to support your friend in what's supposed to be one of the best days of her life. You went for yourself because you wanted to go out and have drinks and let loose. And I don't think that should be the reason why anybody attends a wedding. Sure, it's nice. It's a nice bonus. But you should be there because you're wanting to support and celebrate with the people that you care about. So yes, you are the a-hole. If you wanted to leave afterwards instead of going to the after party, that's fine. But you don't need to announce to most of the people there that you're leaving because there's no alcohol, and then form a group of all your old friends and a bunch of other people to leave with you. I know you didn't explicitly tell them to, but you basically formed a group and left with them. I think that's terrible. Like that's bad. If my friends all left in a group to go out drinking when they were supposed to be celebrating my wedding, I would be very upset. I would also feel very offended, I guess, and like she said, just not supported at all. So yeah, in my opinion at least, definitely the a-hole. No question about it. No question. Okay. This next one is by Wedding Property, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my best friend have her wedding on my property after being uninvited? One of my 29 male best friends, Carla, 31 female, is getting married soon. It's only meant to be a small backyard type of wedding, but they've been planning it for a few months now, and originally it was supposed to be on my property. They wanted it because it's private, has lots of open space for the reception, a nice view, and the house could be used for them to get ready and stuff. Of course I said yes. She and her fiance Rick were very happy. The thing is, Carla and I do have a history. We went out on and off in college, but decided to stay friends. Then I met my wife, we got married, Carla met Rick, and now here they are. Now my wife knows I went out with Carla back in college and she didn't care. Carla still went to our wedding and everything. I never knew if Rick was told or not. It's not my relationship. Therefore, not my business to say anything, so I never did. Rick found out recently, and not in the best way. But not sure how, but from what I heard from friends, is that one mutual friend told him, no idea why, that we used to date. Not only that, but apparently Carla said a couple years ago she was still in love with me when she was already dating Rick. I don't have actual confirmation if that's exactly what was told. All Carla's told me is that Rick was told about our past and he's angry at her for never saying anything. It became quite a drama and didn't hear from her for over a month until now. She told me they're going to couples counselling and that the wedding is still on, but Rick requested that I not attend. It sucks, but I totally get why you wouldn't be comfortable. Then I asked the obvious question, where are they going to hold the wedding then? To my surprise, she said they are still wanted at our place. Rick said so too, and in my mind, I'm going. He doesn't want the guy who dated his fiancée years ago at the wedding, but still wants the wedding at his house. My wife and I are expected to just not be at our home that weekend. And I told Colin no. They're going to have to find someplace else since we're not going to simply leave our home to them for the weekend. Not only for safety reasons, but it just doesn't make sense. Rick doesn't want me around because he's not comfortable, but is comfortable enough to have their wedding at my house. They rarely want their wedding here though, and because of that I've been budged by not only her, but also Rick and some friends who think I'm being a petty arsehole for not letting them have the wedding here anymore. Honestly, don't think that I am. It just doesn't make sense at all to have to leave our own place for a wedding we're no longer welcome to, and leaving our home totally vulnerable. Still being accused of sabotaging their wedding, and Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything. Am I the a-hole? No. I'm sorry, but did that just say Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything? You didn't do anything. What does he mean, the least you can do after everything? You didn't do anything. You dated a woman before he ever knew her. It's not his fault nobody told him that you had a history. You didn't do anything wrong. That's crazy. But no, not the a-hole. In my opinion, it's like exactly what he said. How can you not be comfortable with having him there, but then be comfortable enough to have it in his house? If your issue is with him, it should be with him all around. You get what I mean? But no, not the a-hole. I wouldn't let somebody in my home like that. Either I wouldn't feel comfortable while I'm not there, especially if I was uninvited. Okay, this next one is by aromatic_agency_8653. It's titled, Am I the a-hole for making my daughter pay back a $1,000 dress she was supposed to wear at a wedding? Edit. I didn't go to my oldest and pressure her to make Emma a bridesmaid. My oldest gave in after Emma pestered her about it. Emma has a phone. I don't even learn about the pestering until she was outed. I have a daughter, Emma, 16 female, who was supposed to be a bridesmaid in her older sister's wedding. My oldest wasn't planning to have Emma in the wedding party. It was Emma who really wanted to be her bridesmaid because she was excited and wanted to be involved. My oldest agreed to include her even though it meant extra costs and adjustments. The bridesmaid dresses, shoes and fitting were around $1,000 each, which we agreed to pay for since Emma did not have that cash. The wedding is in a month, and Emma suddenly changed her mind. She's refusing to wear the dress and she thinks it is ugly, saying it's unflattering on her. It is, but I didn't speak up at any part, she said she felt uncomfortable, wasn't close to the other bridesmaid, and didn't want to be participating anymore. I reminded her that she had been the one pushing to be a part of the wedding, but she was firm and backed out. Now we're stuck with a $1,000 dress that can't be returned. I told Emma that since she was the one who wanted to be in the wedding and then backed out, she would need to pay us back for the dress, either by working part-time or a payment plan using her gift money. Emma is upset and says it's unfair, claiming we're punishing her for not wanting to do something she wasn't comfortable with anymore. Multiple family members think I am too harsh. I do not believe you are the a-hole. I think it's a very good life lesson for Emma. For starters, she barged her way into the bridal party like she was not supposed to be involved. But the older sister buckled, because that's his sister, and his sister wanted to be involved. But then she threw it all back after everything was prepared and said, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, surely you would have figured out earlier that it wasn't really for you. Like, come on. I think 16 is more than old enough to be responsible for your actions, especially considering it cost $8,000. Like, yes, you need to pay your parents back that money. They were kind enough to pay for that so that you could be in the bridal party, which you weren't meant to be. Now I think it's up to you to try and pay them back. I would feel terrible not paying them back. I think it's a good life lesson. Okay. The next one is by odd_conversation 5087. It is titled, Am I the a-hole for having a dry wedding and serving only water for drinks? Seems to be a lot of alcohol related ones. Okay, so basically my husband and I are getting married later this year. Each of our sides of the family are fairly big. It will be around 100 to 150 people total. My husband and I are paying for this all ourselves, as well as my grandma, who said she doesn't care one way or another on this issue. She just loves weddings. MVP grandma. We have a lot of kids in our family, so we decided against making it child-free. But we did decide to make it dry, so there will be no alcohol of any kind at our wedding. Honestly, this doesn't have anything to do with there being kids. There, but due to the fact that my fiancé and I don't drink. Nothing against people who do, it's just not for us, and we don't want to. On top of that, we only rarely drink water. We rarely, if ever, drink soda, so most of the time it's only water with the occasional juice and milk. We don't even drink coffee. So obviously the food, which is a part my grandma is not paying for, is going to be expensive for that many people. We are having our wedding catered, so everyone will have a good choice of food to choose from, but to drink only water will be provided. We don't want to have to pay for alcohol or soda, it's just a large added expense when we can just do filtered water for a much cheaper cost. Well, when family and friends found out, they got angry. Some didn't really care, but some are really upset about it, saying I can just have an open bar so I don't have to pay for drinks. We could, but we still have to pay for the bartender, and we just really don't want to bother with alcohol there. Or we should at least have soda, because how can we expect everyone to drink only water? The kids will be upset. The wedding will be boring. That this is not how weddings work, etc. So, am I the a-hole? I didn't think this would be a problem. It's only water. Don't most people drink water every day anyway? Should we pay the extra to have soda to make the family happy? Okay, this one's a bit complex. I don't think they're necessarily an a-hole, but they kind of are. I think not having alcohol is fine. Again, I am completely okay with that. That's fine, especially with the amount of kids being there. But I think to only serve water is a bit tight. Maybe wind down the food options ever so slightly to have a bit more budget for drinks. I just think it would be a lot more enjoyable to have a bigger variety of beverages, juices and sodas, like lemonade, Coke, stuff like that. Just to have a bit of flavour in there, especially for the little ones, you know what I mean? Again, it's your wedding, so it's your choice, but maybe give people the option to bring their own drinks or to pitch in for the bartender and have an open bar, but with only soft drinks, if that makes sense, no alcohol, but an open bar on juice and sodas and stuff like that. I don't know, I feel like you said that there was such a big selection of food, maybe just tone it down a little bit. I would personally rather have a little bit less food to choose from and have a variety of drinks than have loads and loads of food and only water, but that's just me. Okay, this next one is by old_explanation6923. It's titled, Am I the a-hole for choosing a concert over my best friend's wedding? My 26 female best friend, 26 female Jessie, is getting married on July 13th in Albania. We both live in Albania. The issue is that on July 13th, my fiance and I have booked tickets for the Eras tour in Milan almost 1 year in advance, or else they'd sell out. We also had to book hotels, flights, etc. because we'll stay there for 4 days. 4 days. Jessie knew that I've booked tickets on that date. She hadn't booked her wedding yet. She got engaged in November and booked her wedding date last month. She had told everyone she'd get married during summer, but she never said the exact date up to this point, when many people kept asking her, so they can know their plans. I booked the tickets words this past summer when the tour dates were announced. She told me the date. I told her she can't be serious. She was like, why? I reminded her I have the concert on the trip on those dates. And she told me, okay, then cancel it, obviously. I told her, sorry, I can't. I can't cancel the hotel, plane tickets, and concert tickets. I'll have to pay a high fee to cancel all of that, and I don't even think that I can cancel the concert tickets. I reminded her it's something I've planned a year in advance, and she knew. And she straight up told me that yes, she knew, but she didn't care, because as a friend, she'd expect me to do the right thing and drop everything for her wedding. I told her I'm not cancelling my plans for something you knew a year in advance that I was doing. She accused me of being an arsehole for putting a trip and a concert over her wedding. She won't speak to me now unless I send her proof that I'm cancelling everything to attend her wedding. Definitely not the a-hole. This whole thing, in my opinion, feels like some weird power play. Especially with at the end saying that they won't talk to her unless she like gives them proof that she's cancelled it. It feels like she's got a bit of a power issue or ego or whatever, and she's kind of putting her friend to the test, which is not something a friend would do. If I knew my best friend had booked a trip in advance, bear in mind how much these things cost, especially these days, I would triple check that my friend would be home from that trip and had some time to recuperate money and just like energy before the wedding is like to be attended. Like, I care about my best friend. I'm sorry, but I do. So I would not force her to choose something like that. If I knew she was going somewhere, I would plan around it. Because I would want her there, but I would also want her to go and have fun on something she's planned way in advance that I knew about. So like I said, it really does feel like the bride-to-be is kind of testing her friend, which is very bizarre behaviour, and it feels really toxic and manipulative, and I do not like it. So no, not the a-hole. This one is by Deleted. It's titled, Am I the a-hole for giving my wedding guests a dress code? I, female 29, am getting married to my partner, male 30, and we have planned a fantasy/Renaissance themed wedding. We are massive fandom nerds, books, video games, movies, comics, etc. And actually met at a Rem fair and wanted that to be part of our wedding. That's cute. I like that. I like it. We discussed it with our close friends and everyone thought it was a great idea. Yes. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt here. I love watching like Ren Fair TikToks. Oh my god. Such fun. Such cozy vibes. Everyone's so friendly there. Amazing. Love it. So we sent out the invitations plus an attached letter that explained why we wanted to have a themed wedding and examples of the types of things we wanted people to wear. Just Google Ramfair if you want to see. We included photos, descriptions, budget categories that went from how to DIY a costume using gold/thrifted clothes to just straight out buying something online. We also asked people to reach out if they had any worries so that we could work something out. I received a few messages from my closer friends saying they've heard other people, including some of me and my partner's family members, calling me a bridezilla, saying we are being unreasonable and that this is ridiculous, that they don't want to go if I'm going to get all up in arms over clothing. My soon-to-be mother-in-law, female 59, and sister-in-law, female 26, are especially pissed. I reached out to them after their names were mentioned, and they said I am ruining what is supposed to be a happy day by demanding people dress up like idiots. They said everyone should be allowed to dress in what makes them feel comfortable, and I am being very controlling. My partner says not to listen to them, but there are so many people saying it. I honestly didn't think it was a big deal, but now I am having second thoughts about the whole themed wedding idea. So am I the a-hole? Edit. We put in the invitation we don't expect or want people to buy us wedding gifts, and would rather they keep their money for themselves or use it for their outfit. One of the low-budget options was things like a normal floral spring/summer dress many people would already own, with the addition of like a flower crown or a belt or something along those lines. It went up from there. For more masculine stuff, it was like a linen shirt with a piece of fabric tied around your waist or a belt. It's quite low-key and I'm not super strict about it. Just not things like a cocktail dress or a bodyguard dress or a formal suit and tie. Also just going to add, excluding sister-in-law and mother-in-law, our closest family and friends haven't complained, and several people have said they are looking forward to it. It is more so cousins, aunts, uncles, or those sort of level friends. They have also not directly contacted us with their concerns, and we were hearing it through the grapevine. Absolutely not the a-hole. Please never let anybody make you feel bad about how you want your special day to be. You and your groom or your bride or whatever are essentially the only people that really matter in these situations. Like, it's your wedding. Please, please, for the love of God, plan your wedding how you want it, not how your family and friends want it, because it's not their business. It's not their wedding day to look back on. It's your special day. I personally love the rent fair idea. I think that is so fun. Like, oh my god, I would love to see that. That sounds so enjoyable. I think the people complaining are just, more traditional, and that's not really their thing, which is fine. However, the way they are going about it is not fine. Suck it up and wear a costume, or don't attend. You don't need to whinge about it, especially since you gave many options for really low-key outfits, like just shirts with a belt and floral dresses, and you even said, reach out if you have concerns, we can sort something. Like, you are being very helpful as a host. You're willing to help people out, but they're just not willing to meet you halfway, and that's on them, not you. So yeah, just ignore those people or kick them out and have the best wedding that you can. This next one is by Nervous-Chicken7899. It's titled, Am I the a-hole for changing the wedding venue my fiancé chose to something more flashy as a surprise? I, 25 male, am marrying 24 female this coming October. We both have very large families, but hers is really poor and kind of traditional. As a result, my fiancée has been taught to always go for the cheapest option throughout her life. Whether we are going out to eat or buying clothes or going on holiday. Well, we've been planning the wedding, and the choice of venue was typical for her. A small local church where she was christened. Right off the bat, the place isn't suitable for the number of guests who will be invited, and I knew she only chose that location because of money, which is not an issue. I spoke to my father and he agreed to fund a wedding abroad in Venice. I'm their only child, so getting married is a big deal. And to arrange transportation for all the guests. He agreed to cover all expenses, so obviously I changed the venue and sent out invitations. I knew money spent would make her anxious, and she has always dreamed of visiting Venice, so I waited to tell her until it was an organised surprise. Well, she didn't take it well, and said I was a massive a-hole and that she had much preferred the church venue. She said it was too embarrassing to cancel it now, that I've told people, but seems really mad. I'm confused, since that venue was never practical, and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole here or if she's overreacting. In my opinion, yes, you are the a-hole, even if you did not intend to be. You can have good and pure intentions and still mess up, and I think that is what's happened here. Although I have to say, it really does kind of feel like knight in shining armor. I'm rich, you're poor. I'm coming to save the day. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It feels like he thinks he's some savior because he's trying to get her a more expensive wedding, and she grew up poor. I don't know how to explain my thoughts on that. It kind of irks me how it was worded, I guess. But you are the a-hole. There may be other reasons as to why she chose that venue. You know, it may have sentimental value. She may have wanted something close to home. Weddings are stressful to begin with, so I can understand people not wanting a destination wedding because their stress of travel on top might just make it unenjoyable for them, which is fine. If the venue wasn't practical, I think you should have sat down and had a talk and came to some sort of arrangement or compromise. But I don't think you should have went ahead and changed everything without asking. A wedding is for both of you, and it's a very important day, so I don't think it should be a surprise. I think you should talk it through thoroughly and make sure you're both happy with the arrangements, and that's where you went wrong. I know you wanted it to be a surprise, but things don't always work out the way you want them to, and the OP, the bride was not happy with that, and that's fine, she doesn't have to be. Like, it's nice that he thought of her and chose Venice because she just wanted to go there, but a wedding is something that definitely needs to be planned together for these reasons. Okay, we've got two more stories. This next one is by Active-Mixture 4479, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for forgetting to include my sister in my wedding? About a year and a half ago, my fiancée, 28 female, and I, 27 female, started planning our wedding. We wanted a small, intimate affair with only 65 guests, including the wedding party. I'm sorry, but that's a huge number to me, oh my goodness. My sister, 30 female, who stays across the country, was supposed to be my maid of honor, and she enthusiastically helped with the planning until she faced a serious health issue about a month ago. Due to her health problems, my sister was advised not to travel after her surgeries, which meant she would miss the wedding. After discussing it with my fiancé, I offered to postpone the wedding so my sister could attend, but she insisted we stick to our original plans because she knew how important they were to me. I told her that I would be replacing her as the maid of honor with my childhood friend, and she was perfectly okay with it. Fast forward to 2 days ago at our wedding. Everything seemed perfect until I spotted my sister sitting with my parents during the ceremony. It turns out she had gotten clearance from her doctor to travel last minute and surprised us by showing up. I was really happy to see her. After the ceremony, she came over to talk to me and told me everything. Amidst all the hugs and congratulations, I completely forgot that we had not planned for her to be there. Due to the limited people at the wedding, we had strict seating charts and catered meals for everyone, as well as the wedding favours. It turns out my sister didn't get to eat that night and just ate a few of the table appetizers, which were very small. She also didn't have a proper chair, and one of the venue workers got her a completely mismatching one from elsewhere, and she had to squeeze in next to our cousin. The wedding party and us, total 9 people, all sat at the front of the hall on a long table facing everyone. This morning, my sister calmly called and explained how excluded she felt at the wedding. I told her that yes, we didn't have extras because of how strictly we budgeted for it. She understood, but also felt that I could have been more inclusive by asking her to sit at the bridal table since she was originally supposed to be maid of honor or getting her a meal. She felt very judged the whole night, and the least I could do was try to include her after she flew all the way down. I apologized profusely because had I not been so caught up with everything, I would have definitely tried to get her a meal from somewhere. But I also explained to her that she wouldn't have been able to sit with me at the wedding party as we had a colour scheme that she didn't match, and that she should know how detailed the guest list was for favours/seats. The conversation got quite heated, and she said, well, I guess I would have been better for you if I was still bedridden and it didn't come at all. She abruptly hung up the phone, though I knew that line was probably an emotional outburst because of how hurt she felt. You are not the a-hole. If anybody knew that she was coming as a surprise, like the parents, they should have let the bridal party know so that they could last minute arrange a couple extra things. I'm sure they would have been able to squeeze it in, or so that they could like pre-plan a meal for her, like bring some food of their own so she wouldn't be like starved all day. I can understand feeling a bit excluded, but because nobody who was planning things knew you were gonna attend, they weren't able to plan for you, which I think you really should have expected since you were the original maid of honor and knew that things were being specifically planned, like 1-to-1. Like, it's nice that she flew down to surprise her, but she should have kind of known that this would happen and planned ahead of this. And I don't think it was the bride's duty to find her food and find her somewhere to sit and do all this and that, because I understand, like, it's your sister a wedding and she's supposed to relax and have fun and not stress about these things. That's what the bridal party's for. So I think that job should have been on one of them. And that one of them should have stepped up to make you feel a bit more, to make the obese sister, feel a bit more comfortable. Okay, this is the last story for tonight. It's by organic-anything-216. It's titled, Will I Be the A-hole If I Had My Wedding in My Sister's Dream Wedding Location? I've written this out a bunch of times, but always ramble for too long, so I'm going to attempt to tell this super briefly. I, 24 female, I'm from the US, but went to university in the UK and I've been in England since. My fiance Nick, 25 male, is from Italy, but similarly oh my god, I can't speak today. Came to the UK for uni. My sister Sarah, 27 female, is someone who has always fantasized about her wedding. Pinterest stuff, hundreds of pics in a camera roll, follows a bunch of wedding bakery Insta pages, etc. Her dream wedding location has always been an Italian vineyard, whatever. Potato. When deciding our wedding location, Nick and I were going between New York, London, and Tuscany, where his family is from. We chose Tuscany because 1, we find it the most beautiful, 2, his family has a huge vineyard where they're happy to host everyone, and 3, the money we'd save for the venue and accommodations, we could pay for the airfare of all our guests coming from the US. It'll be a small wedding, max 50 people, 15 from the US, 10 from the UK, so it's doable. Anyway, we go about it'll be a destination wedding for some people. So Tuscany is thus the best financially speaking. Oh, okay, so any way that we go about it, it'll be a destination for some people because they live in 3 different countries. It's worded or typed a little bit iffy, sorry. My sister, however, is furious. She called me selfish for doing this to her, since I've never cared nearly as much about weddings, but now I'm stealing her dream location. My parents were on his side till I told them Nick and I would be covering all our family's airfare and accommodations, and then they were placated. They worried family members wouldn't want to go to 2 destination weddings in Italy. Sarah, however, has not come around, even when I've tried to explain the reasoning behind it all. After talking with my mom today, she suggested that we have it in England to keep the peace. Since this means so much to my sister, well, I've never cared much for weddings. She said she and my dad discussed and think they're able to cover the cost of all the airfare for people flying from the US, which might be financially doable for them, but really not ideal as they're both retired. I'm not sure what to do now. Nick strongly prefers Italy, but he wasn't adamantly against London. His parents very much want to host the wedding. I don't think I'm the a-hole since this is literally where Nick's family lives, but I'm willing to admit if I'm wrong. So will I be the a-hole if I don't give in? No, not the a-hole. As someone else in the comments said, keep the peace means your sister's wishes mean everything and yours mean nothing. I'm sorry, but your sister is petty. If I love something so much, I don't gatekeep it. If I really wanted my wedding at one specific location and I thought it was stunning, I would be the type of person that would recommend it to everyone. I'd be like, oh my god, we went here, it was beautiful, think about it, do you know what I mean? And it's not like you'd be getting that your sister wants. It's just a similar setting. So yeah, like it all makes sense financially. Most of the family live there. It's gonna be really cost effective because it's owned by the family, and you find it beautiful, so why not? I mean, she's not even engaged, and she's trying to call dibs on a location. That's stupid. That's so stupid. So no, not the a-hole, please. I hope that you did not buckle, and I hope you went with what you wanted. It's your wedding, and I think you'll regret it if you plan your wedding for someone else to make them happy. You need to plan it for you. It's your day to look back on. So yeah, not the a-hole. Okay, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. Comment down below if there's anything you'd like to see from me. And as always, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a good day, night, morning,